as a sensitive soul and as a young sensitive soul, it was sometimes, actually not sometimes, pretty often really challenging for me to be in that environment because I had such a deep connection with the animals that I worked with. We had horses, I raised pigs in 4-H. And even just like being a 4-H kid, like 4-H is such a valuable tool and asset to raise so many, to like learn life things, what is life? What is birth? What is death? Um, what is being in relationship with animals in a way that, you do know that they are bringing something into your life. I had a really hard time in that specific one because I just couldn't understand why especially specifically, raising pigs. And if anyone's had any like relationship with pigs, they are just the most intelligent, caring, kind animals. And so obviously I formed deep, deep attachments to my animals and I got them, as babies. And so y- being like, the goal of 4-H is to sell your animal for slaughter. And I just couldn't handle that. It was just so devastating for me, to a point where I actually ended up stopping it on my own free will because I really just couldn't handle it. Like it would wreck me for months after because I just couldn't understand how I can form this attachment to a young one and then its life got ended so quickly. And it like didn't really make sense to me. So much so, like when I look back, my parents would always give me grief about not wanting to eat meat and like hiding it in my pockets. And because I definitely like grew up in like you don't leave the table until your food's done kind of family. And so that soul version of me was always there, like questioning, which I loved because that's my authentic, that now looking back, I can see my authentic self in those expressions. But at the time, that was just really challenging for me, especially in being raised in that environment. It was harsher, like we weren't allowed to have emotions or sensitivities. I mean, still to this day, my family will be like, I don't understand how you're so sensitive. We didn't raise you to be that way.
Mm.
And it's like, it's almost as if, it's just who I am.